And we're back. What's up, everybody? It's Terry. This is Alternative Influence. I'd like to thank and welcome the new followers to the Facebook page. I appreciate each and every one of you. I also appreciate your viewership on the vlog over on the YouTube channel. I know a lot of you tuned in and saw my interview with the wonderful Ryan Freebing. So, thank you. Appreciate it. Just throwing that out there. I move around a lot, so if you're new to me standing and talking, you're in for a treat. I try to go live every Wednesday, and I don't know, maybe we should take a vote on programming timing. It's noon, I'm looking at my clock. And pre-COVID-19, a lunchtime live was a pretty good idea because you could watch it while you're eating your lunch. Now everyone's working from home, so not everybody, but large majority. So, what do you think about doing this earlier in the day? I don't know, say 7, 8 o'clock? I mean, it's a live video, but oftentimes it stays up on the Facebook page for about 2 weeks. And if it's a good video, I'll throw it on the YouTube channel too. So, I don't know, maybe tell me what you think down below. Today's topic, we're going to get right into the meat of it. And it has a lot to do with the things that I've experienced this week. And it also has a lot to do with what's going on in the news. Now, I have ventured out before and talked about culture, and if you've seen my anti-racism video that I posted a couple of weeks ago and then reposted again on Monday, then you maybe that's what you're expecting here. And we don't do that very often. We try to keep it about how who you are affects your business, entrepreneurship, leadership, management. Things like that. So today, it's such a weird little gray area again, but I do want to go a little bit on the fringe when it comes to talking about the culture of your company and your community and how they work together. Okay? So start with a story, because who doesn't love a story? This back in 2010, I had a trainer that worked for me, and at that point I was pretty small. The gym was just before its boom. And in this gym, I had set up a lead trainer, and I had I think there was only 3 trainers, maybe 2 trainers underneath this trainer, the head trainer. And I was going out of town, and I didn't want to be bothered. I said, going off the grid, y'all can handle it. If you don't think you can handle it, you give it to the head trainer, and if she needs anything, she'll reach out. I'm giving her permission to do so. Her and only her. Well, I had a little bit of a power struggle with one of my trainers, and I ended up getting a message from him asking just a random stupid question. And the question itself wasn't what aggravated me. It was the fact that he didn't follow the rule. So I literally said, hey, did you check with the head trainer on this? He then responded, no, why do I need to? So this led to a meeting that we had when I got back into town, and I explained the situation to him that this is how I asked for business to be done, and this is how I expect rules to be followed. His response was, well, that's not the way I've seen business done in the past. My dad owns a business, and he's always on call, and he always is working, and will always take a phone call. I'm like, cool, but I'm not your dad. You don't have to understand the rule. You have to follow it. And that's what I want to talk about. The vision of a leader, the mission of a company. The hard part of that seems so divisive is you don't necessarily have to believe in it or understand the vision, the goals, or the drive of the owner or the business or the mission. You don't have to understand it. You're not entitled to understanding. If you're applying for a job, what you're entitled to is a paycheck and response for your work. Now, I know that sounds harsh, and there is a caveat. I'm going to get to that. But let's just talk about that on the surface. We can go a lot deeper into the heart of the matter, and we will, and we should, and everybody should. That should be a good conversation to have with your company, or your staff. On the surface, there has to be a mutual respect. I respect you and understand that you have a talent and a skill that you're bringing to the business. I respect you by agreeing to pay you money to use that skill in my company. Out of that respect, all I want is you to respect me. And how do you live out that respect is you do a couple of things. You do what you say you're going to do, and you do it with love, and you are kind. It's really that simple for me. To do what you say you're going to do, that means you're going to, I'll be there at 8 a.m. You show up at 8 a.m., right? When you're kind, you're the tip of your tongue, you want to curse somebody, but you don't, because you respect me and the establishment that I have put you under, and it gives you a minute to maybe catch your breath. Talk about it, right? You do it with love in the senses I don't want anybody really working with me or for me who doesn't have, I don't want anybody who's around here who's just hating, constantly hating on people. I don't want to hear how this person did you wrong. I don't want to hear how this person did you wrong, how this person did you wrong. Right or wrong, I want you to bury the hate and try to rise above that. Those are huge company culture topics that I try to instill in all of my businesses. Even the 4.5 that I have today. It's the same culture. Doesn't matter whether it's personal training. It doesn't matter if it's construction. Doesn't matter if it's clothing line. Doesn't matter what it is. Those are my rules. Okay? So, as a leader, have you set that standard? Is there a foundation? Is it well communicated? That's the trick. Well communicated. I struggle with this too, because in my understanding of an entitled individual is oftentimes cranky. If they're entitled, they expect to be talked to all the time and to be affirmed all the time. And affirmation is good. It certainly is. You should be told that you've done a good job. But you can't take the good job without a, hey, slow down, that wasn't a great idea at all. You can't have it. Like, you can't just have the affirmation. You have to have both. And you can't be cranky when I give you the other one. You can't get cranky when I tell you that's not how it's done. So that's typically my experience with the entitled. The entitled want to be retold the vision and retold, right? So that they can understand. They want to be retold the rules. They want to fully understand what they're behind in order to feel good and validated about the work that they're doing to their friends and family. There's a lot of good in there, but there's I feel like oftentimes the bad outweighs the good by about 70%. Because it ends up being all about you. And that's what I want to bring to the table. That is my single biggest issue. If you don't understand what it is I'm offering, what it is I'm about, and what the mission of the business is, then if you're not an employee, cool. Keep scrolling. I release you. You're allowed to feel however you want to feel. But don't make your problems my problems, right? We've talked about this before too. Don't make your insecurities my emergency. Yeah? I'll say it again. Do not make your insecurity my emergency. I cannot govern your heart. I cannot fill you with understanding if you're entitled to, like, if you feel like you're owed a certain level of it. Does that make sense? So if you're insecure and you think that, I don't know, that you weren't appreciated at your old job, which maybe you're right in feeling that way. Maybe you were undervalued, underpaid, and it made you feel like less than. So this is where the insecurity gets into the heart. Instead of just not believing that you're less than based on how your old company was treating you, or maybe it was how one of your parents was treating you, or what happened in college. So just not believing that, you let it get to you. And as it got to you, it created this little bit of a crater, a little bit of a hole. And that hole started fostering something dark and well, terrible. Bitterness. And out of that bitterness, you actually started to believe a little bit about what people said. Maybe I'm not worth it. And you didn't really air that out. So you get into a new job or in a new relationship when you come in, and that's in your head. So one little negative thing or one little misunderstanding will put you on defense. And then you come at me or you come at your boss, your significant other, and you've got a machine gun full of emotions, right? Without ever stopping to think, maybe I was wrong in my assumption, right? You're assuming something to be true about me based on something that I said or a mission that I have, and you're not willing to find out if it's true or not. And if it is true, you think you're entitled to have your opinion to be equal or higher. And if it's not true, you're not willing to say I was wrong. That right there is an issue. So that happens inside my company. I give you one more chance. If you don't understand that conversation on the first on the first pass by, it's cool. We'll break it down. Maybe we'll get to talk about it again soon. As long as it doesn't overshadow your work, we'll figure it out, right? If it becomes, you become that bad apple that starts rotting the bunch of the apples, and now my culture of my company has been affected by your negative opinion, your insecurity, and your defense mechanism because of it, then I've got to extract you out. And oftentimes that's exactly what that person needs. They need to be set out and say, okay, you're warned and you couldn't grasp it, so I'm going to sit you out. You don't get to play ball anymore. We'll have to ask you to leave. And you get to digest how this has affected your life so far. Typically those people don't leave peacefully, and then typically those people blame you for their insecurity. So I see this a lot in comments on social media. Sometimes I'll get on people's social media with large comments and I'll just read, and you can see people really projecting their insecurity on the account owner, and then just murdering them because of it. What you end up doing with social media, the whole thing about that is that you, as a company, you're kind of dehumanizing yourself, and it's part of the beast that is social media and having an online presence. Which, if you're allowing yourself, right, as your company to be kind of dehumanized, look at me as a business, you immediately start having people say things that they wouldn't say because they don't feel like they're addressing a human. And they know it or not, I would argue that most of the time people are ignorant to it. Maybe that's just the optimist in me. I want to try to think positive of other people. But to me, it seems like they don't really know that they're doing it. They don't know that the lenses that they're looking through in this moment at this situation are from past experiences and bitterness, insecurity, and the defense mechanisms because of it that are ultimately affecting and being the bigger voice in the conversation than any legitimate part of the conversation, any legitimate point they're trying to make. I know that is a deep well of the topic. And I have done my best to chip at this over the last decade plus. I even had a mentor on one side helping me with it, understand it, and I've had a counselor on another side helping me understand it in my own life, as to not do it to others. So, that is a lot. I imagine we'll have this conversation again. In short, if you're going to assume anything of anybody, and you don't have your facts straight, and you're not willing to ask that person about these facts and be wrong, that's a huge one. If you're not willing to be wrong, don't make an assumption. Because when you make an assumption, you're judging somebody else's actions based on your bitterness or your hurt, basically. You're judging them through your hurt. Think about that. Huh? You don't want to do that. So let that soak in. Okay, I'm leaving you with that today. I appreciate your viewership. I hope that you appreciate the video. I'd like to hear more about what we discussed in the comments. Ask me questions. direct message me. Please head over to the YouTube channel and like and subscribe to that junk. I can't get anywhere without you. I'm giving you the best of me here. Okay? All right. We will see you again on Friday. Check out the vlog. We'll upload it around noon. So, all right, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you.